I guess you really don't know how much you need something in your life until you've finally seen it. I just now watched The Fanatic, and I never knew how much I needed this movie in my life. My life is now complete because I have watched this, and my life will be more complete after I watch this so many more times going forward, because I haven't laughed that hard for so many years. This was great. Thank you. Thank you, Limp. You're the man. The Fanatic, released in 2019, and is directed by Fred Durst, who has also directed films like The Education of Charlie Banks, The Long Shots, and eHarmony. But he's probably most known as the WWE's most favorite band, Limp Bizkit. And in case if you didn't know that he was in the band Limp Bizkit, he actually puts that in this movie. His music, and how great it is.
You like a little Limp Biscuit?
Sure.
You like a little biscuit?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh my god, that is nice. That is nice.
That's right. Fred Durst, who was in the band Limp Bizkit, directing this movie, decided to put some lines in this film about how great his music was, and is. You like some biscuit? You want to listen to some biscuit? Oh yeah, it's some great stuff with the biscuit. It has been so long since I've watched a movie that you can tell that everyone involved is so full of themselves. It made for an even better experience than I could have hoped for. And this movie is starring John Travolta, of course, and also Devon Sawa. That's right, the big name that they got to play the big celebrity in this movie is Real-Life Casper. Can I keep you? John Travolta plays Moose, who is an autistic man who is obsessed with a lead actor by the name of Hunter Dunbar, played by Devon Sawa. And Moose gets super excited when he hears that Hunter Dunbar is coming to a local shop in his town. And as Moose is next in line to finally get that autograph that he's always wanted, Hunter Dunbar gets called away, and Moose kind of goes ballistic. Moose follows him down alleyways until Hunter Dunbar basically threatens him with his life if he didn't leave him alone. But this only ignites the passion of Moose that much more. Moose starts stalking Hunter Dunbar till eventually he finds his home in Beverly Hills. And it's this whole makeshift kind of love story, at least from the perspective of Moose, or at least I think it's the perspective of Moose, even though there's this weird narrating girl who's his best friend, but the story is not told from her perspective, but she's narrating the thing, kind of, sort of, whenever it calls for. Oh my god, this movie. Spoiler alert for anyone who's interested in going into this movie blind. I think if you know actually what happens, this movie actually becomes that much better. The film tries to dive into the psyche of a fanatic fan and of someone that has stalkerish tendencies. It attempts to dive into that, but what we get is something that is so on the surface and so on the nose character development and storylines and plot lines and dialogue that it's like, hey, let's pass this around a first grade class and everyone gets a chance at writing the next line of dialogue. And it's a shame because this concept, you can see a concept here and it's really, really good. It could have been very thought-provoking and very analytical and probably could have been something to be proud of, but then what we get is just some of the weirdest, strangest, and funniest overacting I've ever seen. Is it more outlandish and outrageous than The Room? No. But it is a nice distant cousin. Let's start off with John Travolta, the big name in this film, the guy who's kinda carrying this whole thing, supposedly, I don't know. Let's just take a look at him. Just look at that wig. What is happening? You can tell that Moose is just an overall fan of film. We come to find out that his mother was, I guess, may have been a prostitute. I'm not exactly sure. But basically, his childhood was all just sitting in front of the TV screen, just watching movies and watching TV shows. kind of like a certain cable guy that came out around the 90s. So you go around his house and you see a whole bunch of like film memorabilia and stuff from actors, autographs everywhere. The man loves movies, and for whatever reason, he's attached, just obsessed with this guy, Hunter Dunbar, which that's what celebrity does. For whatever reason, however it happens, people latch on to someone who is in the public eye like this. So for Moose to latch on to this Hunter Dunbar, maybe have like a little crush or obsession on him, is nothing new, and I think is actually a totally viable choice. But we never get a reason as to why he latches onto him, what he finds likable about this celebrity. Usually if someone is a huge fan of someone, they can go on for hours and hours and hours how great that person is and how much they love their work. But here, we're told, and he tells us, that it's Hunter Dunbar! Hunter Dunbar is the greatest ever! Yes, Moose. Yes. And he's obsessed with this world of acting, that is his primary source of income. I don't know how primary of a source it is, but his income is he's a street performer on the streets of Hollywood outside of the Chinese cinema. And he dresses up like a British police officer. I never knew how much I needed to see John Travolta standing in front of a mirror, getting into character, into this Cockney accent by saying the word poppycock over and over and over again. But I need to make it my ringtone or something, because it's just glorious.
Poppycock. Poppycock.
No words. But his idol, Hunter Dunbar, he comes to town and he has all this stuff that he wants him to sign. He gets called away, he gets called out to the alleyway out back because I guess he forgot to take his son, or at least this was the day that he was supposed to take his son with his divorced wife. So they're having a private, intense, intimate conversation. And then Moose follows him into the back and starts begging him again, hey, I was next in line, you didn't sign my stuff. And Hunter Dunbar, Devin Sawa, kind of freaks out and says, hey, dude, chill out, give me a second. Which I don't blame him at all. And that's one of the things about fandom that a lot of people don't realize, is that these celebrities, they're celebrities because they're in the limelight. They're out there in pop culture for almost everyone to see around the world. But what we do is we forget that these are actual people that have actual feelings and have separate lives from the characters that they play on screen or the music that they write. They are people themselves that need to have a life for themselves. So we probably shouldn't bother them when they're having private conversations with a loved one, or having dinner at a restaurant, or going to the grocery store and buying a case of beer. But what tends to happen is you get these die-hard fanatics, and a lot of times, stalkers following these people. As soon as they land at the airport, they're bombarding them with stuff for them to sign. It's crazy, and you feel for these celebrities that don't get a break from all of these fanatics that just won't leave them alone and allow them to have a private life. So I get that, and I understand that. But then this whole ordeal blows over, his wife leaves, his kid leaves, and he's about to go back into the store, and Moose is there still bombarding him. Hey, I have all of your DVDs, and I've seen all of your movies, and I just want you to sign my stuff. He starts freaking out on him about, like, threatening to punch him in the face, and to shove shotguns up his ass. Dude, why? There is a tactful and professional way to go about a situation like this, and you just went all the way to 11. The movie's just gotten started. I know where we're going, and we're probably building up to something like that, but we're already there. Direction. I love it. So I don't know if this was a character choice by Devin Sawa. I actually think it's more on the director's end, directing, hey, Devin, act like this because, you're the celebrity. You're the badass. Roll it. I 100% believe that Fred Durst thinks that this character, Hunter Dunbar, is him in real life. And I wouldn't be shocked if this whole situation, this whole story was based on some interaction that he had when he was in his band Limp Bizkit and he was touring. I wouldn't be shocked. I haven't done the research on it because you shouldn't have to do that for films like this, but I wouldn't be shocked if this actually happened to him, and he thinks that he is this badass celebrity that can go around threatening people, punching them in the face, and things like that. Oh man, if someone ever broke into my house, man, I would shoot off their fingers and I'd stab out their eye, because I'm a badass. Roll it. I just realized that. It's so evident here. He thinks that he is a total badass, and he wants this Hunter Dunbar character to be a badass. It is, wow. Self-reassurance for you, Fred. And so after this whole incident, he starts obsessing over it even more, and he wants to find out where the Hunter Dunbar actually lives, where he does, and then Hunter Dunbar finds him standing outside of his gate, which I would freak out too if some weird, strange, fanatic guy was standing outside of my home with my kid. Yes, I would freak out too, but you know what I would do? I would call the police. I would let them know, hey, I don't feel safe. There are people outside of my home. Please send someone out to just watch for a day or so to make sure that I'm safe and that no one's hopping my very, very short, secluded fence. The film is only an hour and 20 minutes long, and this is about the first, probably 20 to 30 minutes of the film. But then we get to the moment where he does hop the fence. This is like the third time he's done it. And the maid comes out to stop him. And he's freaking out because he's being beaten over with a broom or whatever. And then he face palms her to where she falls back and cracks her head on a fountain and dies. I never knew how much I needed to see John Travolta face palm a maid. That's one of my favorite deaths in a movie. Wow. Oh god, he face palms her. She's falls back. She's laying there, totally dead, and he's standing up like, oh, that's a nosebleed. That's a nosebleed. That's bad. Like I said, I've never knew how much I've needed this movie in my life. But I need it so much. So this maid dies, and we never revisit it, ever. We never revisit the body to where, hey, we need to go outside and take care of it or hide it or report it to the police. She just is dead. And then the movie just keeps going. We don't know. I don't think the body ever actually moved. It just stayed back there in the backyard. You can tell that this film only had a draft. It never went through the editing process. It was, hey, I got this idea, and it's golden, rolling. This all eventually builds to a climax where Moose invades his home and ties up Hunter Dunbar at his bed because he wants to kind of like freak him out and to prove that he is a good actor. And he dresses up like Jason Voorhees, where he fake stabs him, or he fakes committing suicide just to prove that he is a good actor, just like Hunter Dunbar, heck, even probably better than him. I don't know. I don't know. And Hunter Dunbar eventually does escape. He convinces him that, yes, I'm not going to call the cops. Psych! I am going to call the cops, but until I do that, I'm going to take my shotgun, I'm going to blow off your hand, I'm going to take this Bowie knife that is in my drawer for whatever reason. We've never seen it before up until that point. Takes it out and just starts stabbing him in the eye. And then he takes the shotgun and shoots it around his head to blow out his ears. And it's just this weird, ravenous, just animalistic instinct of this character that just kind of comes out of nowhere. Really, it's the conflict of this movie. What is the point of this whole thing? He wants an autograph. He is just being a jerk and doesn't want to give it to him. And when he does give it to him, he's a total dick, which just ignites the fire in Moose. What is the conflict? I don't care about either of these people, because Moose is a terrible stalker. Let's just call it what it is. If someone has these tendencies, they need to stop. Don't follow these celebrities to their homes. Don't follow them to the grocery store. Let these people be who they need to be in their private life. And you do your own thing. But then also Hunter Dunbar is just being a total dick. Yes, getting angry at times, which is totally acceptable for the situation, but then he just lashes out in a way that is like, well, where did that come from? And the ending of this movie, Hunter Dunbar actually doesn't end up killing the dude after stabbing out his eye and shooting off his hand. He just picks him up, and then just shows him to the door. There you go. But then the cops show up, and I guess he is now seen as the guy who murdered the maid? Somehow? Or at least that's what we're meant to believe as the audience, which I'm not buying at all, because throughout the movie, Moose is invading his home and he's taking pictures with Hunter Dunbar as he's sleeping, like kissing him and posting it on social media, apparently. If that were to happen in real life, the cops would be on you so fast, but apparently they're all taking a coffee break in this movie. I just don't believe that this celebrity is going to go to jail because they think supposedly he killed his maid, when he knows that he's been stalked by this Moose character for so many weeks. What? What?
Poppycock.
It's a movie that it needs to be seen. And I can't explain why. It just needs to. You need to see, for those aspiring filmmakers out there and content creators, you need to see what not to do. There's the narration of this girl who's Moose's best friend. It seemed like a Marty McFly and Doc Brown type relationship, which I can't believe I'm making that comparison, one of the greatest movies of all time, to this movie. But it's kind of there. It's this young person who's associating themselves with this older gentleman that's kind of out of his mind. Yeah, it's Marty McFly and Doc Brown. But she's narrating this. But the movie is not told from her perspective. It's like she's just providing this strange narrative to just talk about how bullshitting LA is, and people that live in LA are just all bullshitters. I should know, I am one. Moose didn't just cross the line, he fucking nuked it. Which was a line of dialogue that was written and approved. He didn't just cross the line, he fucking nuked it. I think there's hope for me as a filmmaker, and maybe as a screenwriter, because if this stuff gets made, I think I have a shot. This movie is god awful, but it's one of those films that it's so god awful that it's amazing, and you need to watch it to experience it and to appreciate the god awfulness of it. No one saw this movie in its very limited theatrical run. It made, I don't even think, $4,000, which is that's about right. I haven't given the score out in a while. So in honor of one of the worst films ever made, The Room, and this film being a distant cousin in relationship to the quality, I'm going to give The Fanatic 5 out of 5 mammograms.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
Poppycock. Poppycock. Alright, now comes my favorite part of my videos, where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next, and we are coming to the end of our recommendation summer. We're going to get back to picking films that I own at random here, but kind of coming to the end of the whole recommendation summer that I wanted to do. Here we are coming to a movie that is probably going to end my love of doing these recommendations for a while. A recommendation from a good friend of mine, Scott Bookman, from good old college days. You recommended this a while ago. I don't know if you remember doing this, but you recommended the movie The Human Centipede. Why, Scott? Why? From what I hear, this movie is just, it's like an initiation. If you're gonna review films, if you're going to make films, you should probably watch this. It's because it's so ridiculous and so disgusting. I don't know, I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. But it's been recommended for a while, and Scott's a good friend, so this one's on you, Scott. Thanks. So if any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, leave your recommendation below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there. And if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. If you want your recommendation expedited, you can always make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, and you can attach your movie that you want me to review with it, and again, whatever donation that you make, it'll move your recommendation to the front of the line. So guys, if you've seen The Fanatic, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you know the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of The Human Centipede. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.